Welcome to Startups in Action on the CrowdfundBeat.com radio. I'm media mentor Mike Hayes and host of CrowdSuccess. You know, the publishers of CrowdfundBeat.com are truly committed to bringing news and information to crowdfunding people. Well, a vitally important part of that information happens to be insider tips and secrets that we've learned ourselves and use to better communicate in the digital age. We use Google Hangouts. So I went searching online for the easiest to understand Hangout tutorial to help you use Google Hangouts too, so you can better get the word out about your crowdfunding campaign. Now, my crowdfunding intelligence gathering search led me to Sue Soucy. So I asked Sue to talk to CrowdfundBeat and our audience about why it makes sense to use Google Hangouts and how to set up your own Hangout for your campaign. Meet Sue Soucy.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
I wanted to get a little more information about Google Hangouts and how they can be a really great tool for digital communication. So why don't you tell me a little bit about Google Hangouts, how you got involved, how you use them, and what advice you could give us about them.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you how I first got involved in using Hangouts. I've been doing, my background is in radio actually, and I left radio about 6 years ago to pursue the internet because I knew there was just so much opportunity online. And back then, even though it was only 6 years ago, the technology of broadcasting was really not that great. You know, I mean, we've still got a ways to go, but I checked out every different kind of webinar service, and there were quite a few, but it seemed that each one would not be quite right. It would either cost too much money, or you could only have maybe 25 or 100 viewers, or you couldn't do video, and I was, really, I just think it's really important to do video. And so there were these services that just were never quite right. And then Google Hangouts came out, and it's free. You can have up to 10 cameras on at a time. You need very little technology to make it work. You can have unlimited viewers. Your broadcasts get automatically recorded so that you then have a playback available right away. I remember waiting a week sometimes to get a recording of a webinar that I had done years ago. So the technology in 6 years has grown to a point where we now have access to this tool, Google Hangouts, and it doesn't cost anything. All you need is a Google Plus account, a webcam. I use a built-in iSight on my Mac. That's what I'm using right now, but even a smartphone works. If you don't have a webcam, I recommend Logitech. They make really great ones, great quality, affordable, $50, $60, something like that. So the equipment you need is minimal. I'm a mom. I've got 3 kids. They're in the house right now. I'm in my home office. It allows me to communicate with people from all over the world, no matter what I'm doing, and it's something that well, it's been around, I guess, a couple years. I kind of jumped on it right away, and I realized the power of it right away because, like I said, it was just so far advanced from anything else, and it's free, and anybody can access it. So, yeah, for me, it's just it has become my main tool for getting my message out and marketing online. And I mean, video, it's just kind of taken video to a whole new level because it's live video, and that's just something that we've never had access to before in this way. So very powerful tool.
It is. Plus, the fact that it is owned and operated by Google, and anybody thinking about using Google AdWords or Google Apps, that's very important for SEO ranking and getting the cost of Google AdWords now, because Google uses speech recognition. So a lot of people will produce videos that have music, but they don't rank very high. And if you use a lot of keywords in your Google Hangouts as videos on YouTube, they're going to rank quite high, don't they?
Well, absolutely, and that's how you found me. I always use it as a perfect example because I get this a lot where, I get people saying, oh, I saw your tutorial on Google Hangouts. Can you teach me how to use Google Hangouts? So right there, that's kind of proof that this medium works. Because what I did is I created this series of training videos which unfortunately for me, Google keeps changing everything, so I have to keep updating them, but that's, that's okay. But, and because I do a lot of training, I've done a lot of studying in internet marketing and learning how all of this stuff works, the keyword research, the SEO, and all of that. And so I was able to put keywords into my training videos, my Google Hangouts training videos, so that they do come up at the top. Even if you search on YouTube just for Google Hangouts, my training videos come up. So that truly, like you said, is the power of using video, of speaking, and using Google with its own product. Obviously, they favor it over others, and you're right. It's so much easier to get ranked when you're using something that is, in connection with Google. And so I've learned quite a few tricks along the way with video marketing. And so when you can take a Hangout that's a live video and you can, like you said, make it nice and keyword rich, it is, and if you're using it, you are on the cutting edge. So it gives people sort of that opportunity to get out there in a way that people are, it's still kind of an anomaly. People still look at it as, wow, they're doing this live thing with all these cameras, and it's just the two of us on here right now, but sometimes you see a whole row of people, 10 people along the bottom there. And I mean, it's so like space age, like the Jetsons, like who knew we'd ever be able to do this, and we can, and it's such a good way to have people hear your message.
Now, I used to be with NBC Sports in New York, and I covered actually the 76 Olympics in Montreal, up there in your neck of the woods. Cool. Not too far. In fact, that's where I met my wife of 35 years. And I realized that crowdfunding is really an international event, kind of like covering the Olympics. I do Skype calls with people in Pakistan, Northern Ireland, I mean, you name it, just, all over the world all the time. When I was growing up, it was like the United States was a pretty big country. Well, now that's kind of what the world's like. It's like the size the United States used to be. It's like you can reach out to anybody, anywhere for free. And when you deal in digital information, there's not even any distribution costs. So talk about having a much broader market. I do think one of the reasons people were slow to come to Google Hangouts was because of all of the confusion that surrounded Google Plus. Everybody seemed to be crazy. Oh, it's driving me nuts. There's a lot of confusion around it at first, but now it seems to be a lot simpler, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I quite honestly, Google Plus itself still confuses me sometimes, but I'm really diving in to branch out so that I can, really be more knowledgeable in all of Google Plus. But Google Hangouts really is kind of a separate feature of Google Plus. And you're right, it is confusing. I mean, I do an 8-minute training video that shows you exactly step by step what you need to do to get a Hangout started. And I still hear from people every day that can't get their Hangout started. So clearly it is a little bit confusing, but I would say on the other hand, it is also very simple. So it's just a matter, and I find that with all technology, it's just a matter of actually learning what you need to do and then doing that in order. And so I find that once people sort of get around that fear and that stumbling block of the technology being difficult, it's actually pretty simple. And once they get the hang of it, then they're off and running. Once you've done one Hangout, then you're good to go. I guess my thing is to just do it, and instead of trying to make it perfect. Again, we're dealing with technology, and Mike, before we hit start here, I got bumped off twice, right? So just know that technology is not always perfect. I find that holds people back so much, is that they want to know all the ins and outs of Google Hangouts. They want to know exactly, and that's fine. I mean, but really all you need to know is how to get the thing started, how to get the right link to get people invited, and how to get people to your Hangout. There's no sense spending the next 6 months trying to learn how this works just so that you can have the perfect Hangout. I say get one done right away, even if it's by yourself. Now that's a good idea too, is you can do a Hangout by yourself. And so if you feel you need to practice, or invite one friend or invite your mom and just do it. So get your first Hangout out there. And then I find it's like that with any sort of software, any sort of technology, is once you use it, then you really kind of grasp it and it becomes so much easier. So I think the holding off and the delaying of being fearful of using it is slowing people down. So I say get your first Hangout done, and it's easier from there.
It's progress, not perfectionism. For a couple of experienced veteran broadcasters like you and I, that can be pretty tough. But if you, the lesson that I always think of when I hear grumbling about, things not being perfect, I always think, well, if you were in TV and you thought YouTube was just a stupid idea, or you didn't like the quality of it, so you didn't want anything to do with it, kind of missed the boat on that one. Mm-hmm. And that people really don't care. They want to get a sense, like I felt like I really had known you before we met. I knew you had 3 kids, and I learned a lot about you, your background, and I had a real sense of who you were. And so I think it's very powerful. So Sue Soucy, I want to thank you for joining us and giving us an update on Google Hangouts and how powerful, effective they can work today in the digital age.